All right, everybody. Excited to be here tonight? All right, guys, we're continuing our series tonight. So I need everybody to please grab something to take notes with. Everybody, grab something to take notes with. If you ain't got something, please come up to the table. We got sermon note sheets, pens for you. Grab something to take notes with. How many of you guys got notes? Hold them up. If you got some notes, let me see it. Let me see it. That's only about like a quarter of you. Okay, don't got notes? Right up there. Follow Greeley. Grab some notes and pens. You got your brain. Hey, guys, listen up. Everybody, listen up. Tonight, you're going to need to write down some of these things because tonight we're going to be presented with 3 arguments. You don't have to put that up yet, but 3 arguments for Christianity that you're going to want to know these when presented with why do you believe what you believe, and when you're presented with, hey, give me the evidence for why you believe. So tonight, we're continuing a series called Theology 101. Can you say Theology 101? Super lame. Theology 101. Okay, let me explain something. Someone said that's what we talked about last week. Well, Theology 101 is the series, okay? It's kind of like you're in a class, right? Welcome to church class. Whoa. Yeah, it's pretty crazy, right? And theology, I want you to understand this. Theology is a big word, so if you don't understand it, here's what it is. Simply, theology is the study of the nature of God and our beliefs about Him. Theology is the study of the nature of God, who God is, and our beliefs about Him. The reason why it's so important to talk about our theology is because how we view God determines how we talk to Him, how we treat Him, how we interact with our God. And everyone in this room has different theologies about who God is. So tonight, I want us to understand and really re-ask this one question. I'm going to ask a question. How many of you guys know what, well, actually, does anyone know what I'm about to ask? An important question you need to understand. What is it? Why do you believe what you believe? That's what I'm talking about. Why do you believe? Write that down. Why do you believe what you believe? How many of you guys were here with us 2 weeks ago when we had the Atheist Encounter experience? You guys here for that? Yeah! I know some of you guys, your feathers were ruffled a little bit. Thank you, Austin. Again, Peter at RadiantChurch.live, you're good to go. Why do you believe what you believe? For some of you, you may say that you believe in God because your parents go to church or because you were raised in church. Can I be honest with you? That doesn't mean anything. Some of you may say, well, I believe in God because Pastor Tony says He's true or that God's word is true. That doesn't really hold any weight at all either. See, if why you believe what you believe, if you don't have an understanding or foundation to why, then number one, you probably will be talked out of your beliefs at some point. And number two, why do you believe? It will help you explain to your friends and people that don't know about Christianity why it's true. So, apologetics. We're talking about apologetics, and I wanted to define this for you. Actually, tonight is part 2 of the topic of apologetics. Actually, before I put that up there, does anyone know how to define the word apologetics? Okay, Austin, what you got?
Presenting an argument, like, respectfully. Your side of an opinion, respectfully.
Give it up for Austin Lynn, everybody. That's what I'm talking about. You can put up that definition if you didn't write this down. Apologetics simply is a logical defense of a position or a belief. A logical defense of a position or belief. Some of you are probably going to be like, man, why isn't he just talking about God's love, man? I want to get all the feels tonight, man. I was listening to an interview recently with, does anyone know the name John Crist at all? He was a Christian comedian, John Crist, yeah. He had been a Christian comedian for a while. Still is a comedian, still performs, but recently, or no, it was 2019, I believe. I thought that when things came out, there were some secret sins and things going on in his life that came out, and he went to rehab for that. And while he was in rehab, he said he was going through 3 weeks of it without any kind of phone or cell phone usage, very restricted. But then after 3 weeks of, him just being bought in, they started giving back different privileges, and one being his phone. And he said, if it wasn't for the church, I wouldn't be here today. Because he said he had thousands of messages from pastors, church attenders, Christians saying, hey man, I love you, I'm here for you. If you ever need a place to stay, my house is yours. If you ever need anything at all, take it, man, I'm here for you. That's the Christians. Christians, I believe the stigma's changing. That Christians are no longer the judgmental ones. And maybe you still see those people. Maybe you are hurt by the church because of what someone said or did in the church. Here's what I'll say to point it as a perspective or as an analogy. When you hear someone playing Beethoven, and you hear them playing Beethoven or the Beatles poorly, who do you blame? The Beatles or that person playing them poorly? You don't blame the Beatles. You blame the person playing them poorly. You shouldn't say that God is the one that doesn't love you and that is judgmental, because sometimes, and a lot of the time, we don't measure up to the standard that God places on our lives. Sometimes we're bad representatives of Him, but I'm telling you, Jesus has never been judgmental or put any kind of shame on you. All right, that was free tonight. So at the top of your page, I want you to put Apologetics Part 2. Apologetics Part 2. Tonight, we're addressing 3 arguments, probably some of the best arguments for Christianity. Now, what is an argument? What would you say? Some of you are like, with me fight with my mom, man. It just happened earlier today. Yeah. How would you say? What would you define an argument as in this context? 3 arguments for Christianity. What did you guys? What's up? It happened. Did that happen, Isaac? Oh, okay. 3 arguments for Christianity. What does argument mean in this context? Defense. That's good. 3 of them. Are you ready for them? Only one person is ready to hear these. Are you ready? Okay. Some of these are big words, so I want you to track with me. I don't want to lose you. I'm telling you, this is some good stuff tonight. You're going to want to pay attention. Here are the 3 arguments for Christianity. First one is the cosmological argument. Cosmological argument is number 1. The teleological argument is number 2. And the moral argument's number 3. Write it down if you can. If you miss it now, they will come up again. You will be able to write these down. The cosmological, teleological, and moral. Can you say cosmological? I just heard schmashmandagical. Can you say teleological? That's what I'm talking about. And moral, easy to say. Okay, you good so far? Can I move on? No. Numero uno. Numero uno. Hey, who is the best soccer player of all time? I'm hearing multiple. Who's the best soccer player of all time? Messi, Ronaldo, Beckham, Pele. Okay, reel it in. Here's the first argument, the cosmological argument. Cosmological argument. Are you ready for this one? This argument really just talks about the beginning of cosmological, meaning beginning, the beginning of time, creation. The cosmological argument. Are you guys done writing? Or you want to keep it up there? Because we're going to go to the next one quick. Anyone still need it? Oh, you still, okay. Beginning. Yes, cosmological. Are you ready? Here's what this argument summarizes. Now, track with me. We'll put this on the screen. The cosmological argument essentially summarizes this way, that whatever begins to exist has a cause. The universe began to exist. Therefore, the universe has a cause. How many guys have ever talked about cause and effect in school? Cause and effect, right? Can someone give me an example of cause and effect? Wait a minute. Wait, Grace. Some of my cookies. I ate. So you ate. Say this again. You got it.
I ate cookies, so I got put in my room.
She ate cookies. She got put in a room. That was good. That whatever begins to exist has a cause. Can't just come from nothing. The universe began to exist. Therefore, the universe has a cause or has a creator. So let's say, well, actually, Reese, what were you going to say? I'm an example for cause and effect. You crash your car, it's broken. So you see these, and tonight, this may describe, the cosmological argument essentially is talking about the beginning. Cosmological meaning beginning of time, creation. So we're talking about it from this sense, that whatever begins to exist must have some kind of cause. It can't just come from nothing. And so, well, here's one question. I'm getting ahead of myself real quick. But one person may say, we talked 2 weeks ago, the Big Bang, that where did the Big Bang come from? There can't be something that comes from nothing, right? And so then we believe that God is, well, some people will say this. Some people will say, as Christians, I believe we should believe in the Big Bang. But we just know who banged it. And that, for some of you, may be the only thing you remember for the remainder of the night tonight. The other question you may be at, stay up here, guys, stay up here. Some of you, this is like the third strike tonight. Pastor Tony said that this, Peter at radiantchurch.live, please. Okay, I gotta keep going. The question then that some atheists may ask is, well then, who created God? Did God come from nothing? And really, the question of who created God, here's what that question is. It's essentially a categorical fallacy. It's a big word, but really it means that's a bad question to ask. Because essentially you're asking, who created the uncreated God? No one created God. God existed. He's the one who created time and space and matter. He's the one who created all of that. So if someone could have created God, that being would no longer be God. God has always existed. He's the one that spoke things into existence. But I want to go to the next part here. The cause that we're talking about, the cause being God in our respect, we believe that God created the universe, the heavens and the earth. If you read Genesis 1, right, that God created. But this cause, I'm going to put the next few things up here. This cause must be, I'm going to list off some traits, must be spaceless, timeless, immaterial, uncaused, and powerful. I know that's a lot of things right there. Spaceless, timeless, immaterial, uncaused, and powerful. Who is God? You think about all those traits. Who would that define? What would that define? For me, I believe that defines who God is in one way, in a natural way, I guess you could say, or supernatural way. That our God must be spaceless. That God is the one, again, He's the one who created space, time, and matter. And for some of you, this is going to be a whole new way of thinking. So please, again, try to pay attention with what I'm trying to say. This cause being God, what we believe, God, spaceless, He lives outside of space, outside of time, that He doesn't make up a matter. And He's also uncaused. That again, I said this before, if someone could create God, that thing would no longer be God. God is all powerful. His word says all powerful, all knowing, at all places. Honestly, it said that God spoke. This is just so crazy. God spoke the earth into existence. And the second argument is going to explain a little bit more about the universe and planets and all these things. It's crazy. What God, and this is free for you. This is in my notes. God literally could have just snapped his finger and the universe would have been created. He could have thought and it's created. But one reason, me personally, why I think that he spoke life into existence is because there is power in your words. There is power when you speak life. That there's one reason there are multiple reasons why God created using he spoke it. So I believe as we're supposed to represent Christ, we need to speak life into others. That we're not supposed to be speaking death or negativity over others, but speaking life. Okay, that's free for you. Must be spaceless, timeless. I know it's a lot right there. Spaceless, timeless, immaterial, uncaused. God created it all. And I believe this. I believe it takes more faith to be an atheist than to be a theist or to be a Christian. Because honestly, for atheists, how can you define, or what is the defense for having all of these come into play? I think it's a lot more, it takes a lot more faith for you to say that there is no creator and no designer, rather than to say, if there is a design, there must have been a designer. If there's a creation, there must be a creator. Does that make sense? Okay. Number 2, cosmological. Second is teleological argument. And this is talking about design. The design, we're going to talk about 2 things. First, the universe appears designed, but also we as human beings appear designed. Teleological. Can you say teleological? Jaden, what is that in Spanish? Got him! Teleological argument. An argument from design. Talk about 2 things. Anyone else need time to write that down? Well, you'll get the next. Again, 2 things we're going to explain. First, the universe appears designed. Teleológico. That's what I'm talking about. Hey, the next time someone asks you about why you believe what you believe, you just got to start speaking in Spanish, brother. The Holy Spirit starts speaking other tongues in my life. Teleológica, whatever. Okay. The universe appears designed, but also we as humans appear designed. We're going to start with the first one, our universe. Let's talk about our universe for a second. I don't have a lot of time to explain, man. There's going to be a resource I'm going to give at the end of this if you want to go in more depth. But science shows that our universe is extremely fine-tuned. Science shows, just outside of science, we can tell that our universe is extremely fine-tuned. What does that mean, Pastor Tony? Think about this. If you were to slightly adjust any number of factors in our universe, either the universe wouldn't be able to exist at all, or human life wouldn't be able to exist at all. And even atheists admit this. For example, and I'll put this picture up here. This might not mean much to you, but I'll explain this. If the density of the universe was off by, look at this number, 1 to 10 to the 15th power, was off by that amount, the universe would either collapse or expand too rapidly to form. Another example is think about gravity, right? How many of you guys are in physics right now? You guys, or have taken physics? How many of you guys ever taken physics? You talk about gravity, right? Boom. Okay. What is this? Gravity. Boom. You'll now pass your Physics 101 class. Yeah, right. If gravity was off by a small percentage, we would either be floating, we'd be dead because we'd just be floating out there, or we would be crashed down to earth and be completely smothered, like with all the... I want to go back to the previous analogy of the density of the universe. I want to put it in this kind of analogy. This degree of precision is like taking $10 trillion worth of pennies, painting one red, blindfolding someone, and then asking them to pick out the right penny. That's how fine-tuned. That is practically impossible. How is it that that is the case? There must have been and must be a creator. This couldn't have just happened by chance. And I think it takes a lot more faith to believe that this just came out of nowhere and that just happened by chance, rather than believing, man, there is such precision, such complexity here. There must be a creator. Let's take a look at our solar system for a second. I'm gonna hand it over to Frank Turk in a video here. This is a guy, I love this guy. He's an apologist, and he's been doing this for years. He comes to university and high school campuses, and he shares a presentation about these three arguments. I'm just giving it to you now because this has helped me so much. But check this out about our solar system.
Solar system. In fact, let's take a look at our solar system here for a minute. Here we are, third rock from the sun. If we were just a little bit closer to or a little bit further away, we couldn't survive. A little bit closer to, we'd burn up. A little bit further away, we freeze. We are what the scientists call the Goldilocks zone. It's not too hot. It's not too cold. It is. That's a lie. It's way too hot here in the summer. The axial tilt, 23.5 degrees. Change that slightly, we don't exist. Earth rotation, 24 hours. Change that slightly, we don't exist. The size and distance of the moon from us, change that slightly, we don't exist. If Jupiter here wasn't in its current orbit, we couldn't exist here on Earth. Why? What does Jupiter do for us? Its gravitational force is so strong that it attracts most of the meteors and space junk to it rather than us. It's a cosmic vacuum cleaner. In fact, if you take a close-up look at Jupiter, you know what these dark marks are? Those are comet fragment strikes that are bigger than the Earth. Thank God for Jupiter. Because if Jupiter wasn't there, we wouldn't be here. Saturn does the same thing for us. In fact, you want to see the planets by size? Here they are. You got Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Earth. Look at poor Pluto down here. You know, Pluto recently has been demoted as a planet. I don't know about you, but I think it's size discrimination. And what if Pluto identifies as a planet? What then, you bigots? Take a look at this. You can hardly see Pluto. Take a look at this. All right, that's Arcturus. That's another star in our galaxy. Here's the sun over here. Jupiter is 1 pixel in size on this scale. Earth is invisible. Pluto, forget about it. All right, keep an eye on Arcturus. Where's Arcturus now? See it way over here? The sun is 1 pixel in size on this scale. Jupiter is invisible. Earth, Pluto, forget about them. In fact, if the Earth was the size of a golf ball, Betelgeuse here would be, look, I don't name the stars, okay? Betelgeuse would be 5 or 6 Empire State Buildings high. The heavens are awesome. And the average distance between stars in our galaxy is 30 trillion miles, and all that distance is necessary for us to exist here on Earth. Now, 30 trillion miles, how far is that?
Crazy. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the comparison like that. Talk about the size difference between God's creation and us. They put Earth on there. I mean, think of, we're living on Earth, but how small we are in comparison to the Earth, in comparison to the stars, in comparison to the galaxies. Look at how small we are, yet out of all of his creation, we are his most prized possession. How does that make any sense? Out of everything, how massive, how complex he created everything to be. He didn't die for the stars. He died for you. He died for you. The Bible also says, as far as the heavens are from the earth, as far as that is, so much is his love for those who fear God. Crazy. But let's look now at the human body. You are designed. The universe is designed, but you are designed. Let's go back to a little human anatomy class. Not really. Well, you are designed. Write that down if you didn't. You were designed. Look at all of the different, and you were designed. The complexity even of the human body, the fact that your heart, your lungs work together 24/7. You produce sweat to keep you from overheating. Your body transforms food that you eat into energy, just to name a few things. How could it be? I believe it's not by chance, but you were designed. If there is a design, there must be a designer. I don't have time to explain more of this. Again, I'll have a resource later that you can check out. But that's the teleological. Third one, the moral argument. Argument from morality. Can anyone define morality? What the heck is that word? Can anyone define morality? Wait, I got to Austin early. Let's get to Colin and see this.
It's basically an ought to, like you ought to do something.
That's right. So really, simplified definition. Give it up for Colin, everybody. Listen up, I don't have a lot of time. Simplified definition for morality is knowing what is right and what is wrong. Knowing what is right and what is wrong. It would be wrong for me to take a crutch and whack one of you guys. That would be wrong. I'd feel terrible about it. That would be strike 4. And who am I going to email about it? Peter. Okay, thank you very much. The first two arguments I presented talk about science, talk about the universe and creation. But this argument doesn't talk about science. Listen up, please. It talks about morality, knowing what is right and what is wrong. But first of all, I want you to understand something. And then, hey, listen up, because I don't want this to go over your head. We wouldn't know what is wrong without knowing what is right in the first place. Right? We wouldn't know that something is immoral unless we knew that something is moral. Does that make sense? If I don't know what's good and what the example should be, if I don't know what that is, how would I ever know what bad is? The differentiation between good and bad. For example, we know that stealing, murdering, lying is wrong. But here's the question. Why is it wrong? Why is it, I want you to start thinking about this. I don't want to lose you. Why is this wrong? Let me put this into analogy. I hope we can understand this. Let's put let's think about football for a second. How many football players are in the room? How many of you guys at least like to watch football? Jaden's like, no way. Powder puff? Hoorah. Okay, play football. Okay. You guys understand this. But let me ask you, in football, let me ask you this. Why do we know that a touchdown is better than a pick six? And again, a pick six is when the opposing team intercepts the ball and scores. Why do we know that a touchdown is, I'm asking you, this is interactive. Why do we know a touchdown is better than a pick six? Because why do I know that I win if I get a touchdown? Where does this come from? The rules. Okay. Even outside of the rules, but here's the thing. The answer to that is in the goal of the game. Listen up, please. The answer, why do we know it's wrong? Because of the goal of the game. If we don't know what the goal of the game is, we wouldn't be able to understand what a good play and a bad play is. It's important for you to know this. The purpose of the game gets determined from outside the game. The purpose from the game gets determined outside of the game. The players on the field don't just determine what's good and bad at the moment, right? That'd be chaos. The commissioner, the owners have decided this ahead of time, what's right and wrong, and rules change over years. The rules of football could change, but the rules of life don't change. The rules of morality, rules of life, have not been determined by people, but morality has been created by a creator, which would make sense why all humans instinctively know what is right and what is wrong from the moment they're young to old. I know for some of you this may be a whole new way of thinking, But God is the one who created a moral compass for us as humans. He's the one who determined what is right and what is wrong. And the Bible even says that morality has been written on our hearts. Doesn't come from man, doesn't come from science. It comes from a creator. And the reason why we all know the difference between right and wrong is because God created morality from the beginning of time. God created morality. If there was no God, think about it this way. If there was no God, what you say is right and wrong would just be your opinion. So, again, if there is no God, stealing, murdering, and lying wouldn't be wrong. Why? Because it's just your opinion against mine. If there was no God, what the Nazis did to the Jews is not wrong. If there's no God, what Hamas is doing in Israel is not wrong. Why? Because it's their opinion against our opinion. No, there has to be, and even it's hard for atheists to define, well, where did this come from? Well, the golden rule, do to others what you would do to yourself, right? Or what you want to be done to yourself. And you're stealing morality, you're stealing the creation of this from someone who you're denying the existence of in the first place. The reason why we know right from wrong is because God created morality. So here's how I'm going to end. Does that make sense, or is that just like, is it starting to track with you guys? Think about it this way. Have any of you guys heard of the song So Will I by Hillsong? So Will I. Okay, not a few, or a few, that's good. I'm going to read some of the lyrics. I want you to listen to this when you go home tonight. So Will I by Hillsong. And it's a beautifully written song. Listen to some of these lyrics. God of creation, there at the start, before the beginning of time. With no point of reference, you spoke to the dark and fleshed out the wonder of light. And as you speak, 100 billion galaxies are born. In the vapor of your breath, the planets form. If the stars were made to worship, so will I. I can see your heart in everything you've made. Every burning star, a signal fire of grace. If creation sings your praises, so will I. As you speak, 100 billion creatures catch a breath, evolving in pursuit of what you'd said. If it all reveals your nature, so will I. I can see your heart in everything you say. Every painted sky, a canvas of your grace. If creation so obeys you, so will I. Man, I love it. And then think about this for a second. We talked a lot about creation and the universe and things outside of you and I. Think about you and I for a second. That Jesus loves you and I so much that he died for us. Some of you, you've heard that hundreds of times and it means nothing to you anymore. Do you realize what he did for you? Do you realize what happened at the cross? What the lyrics say, as you speak, 100 billion failures disappear. Where you lost your life so I could find it here. If you left the grave behind you, so will I. I can see your heart in everything you've done. Every part designed in a work of art called love. He died on a hill that he created. Why? Because of love. Because he loves you that much. Why is it that he created things that are so large in comparison to you? Because he shows the power that exists within him. He created so many things, so much, but yet he died for you. Let's pray. God, thank you for this understanding. God, I pray this would not just be some words that we're hearing that mean nothing, but God, would this help us understand? When people ask, why do you believe what you believe? I pray, God, that this would now be some tools we can put in our pocket to say, you know what, here's why I believe what we believe. That we got 3 different arguments now. We got 3 different ideas to say, this is why. Not just because I feel him, but because I know him and I know him by these things. In Jesus' name. Now, everybody look here real quick before we leave. You're all one step closer to being an apologist. Give yourself a round of applause real quick. Give yourself a, yeah. You're one step closer. Now, here's the deal. Can you put this resource on the screen real quick? If you want to see a full, this is on YouTube, a presentation of this guy named Frank Turek, you saw a brief clip. Check this out. Get out your phone, scan this QR code, and you can see this full presentation because he says things a lot better than I do, and he gives a lot more time to talk about things than I do, okay? If you could leave that up there.